I'm the Mulleteer,
And I'm sure.
and you're listening to
Ruckin the Mullet.
Rock that mullet,
Rock that mullet.
rock that mullet,
Rock that
rockin' the mullet.
mullet. Rock it.
All right, so we are sitting here in the studio with Tron. Tron, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty great, Myler. How about you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Well, we just got a couple of questions for you. You know, how did you start playing rugby?
Well, I started thinking about playing rugby the summer after I graduated high school. My first day of first day of work, I met a girl. She was wearing an Iron Woman shirt, and I thought she was like a strong woman lifter, and so she kind of scared the shit out of me. And so I was afraid to work with her all summer. She finally told me that she played rugby at Eau Claire, and she said, "Hey, Tron, you should just go and play rugby or something at Oshkosh. I know they have a good team and all that." And I was just ready to go and try it. So when I first came here, first moved in, tied moving day, I was kind of looking around, and the first person I met was Bill Blake, our captain. And I also met President Box, and they're like, "Hey, have you ever thought about rugby?" I'm like, "That's exactly what I was looking for." So the next day I came out to the practice, and I was just terrible. And I was so slow and just so out of shape. At the end of practice, I went up to Box. He was our interim president at the time, or interim coach. And I said, "Hey, thanks for the opportunity for this. I just don't think I can do this. I'll work out this over the winter. I'll join you back in the spring." He said, "It's fine, dude. I completely understand. Just come back and try again later." And so on the ride back from the fields, I was riding with BT, and it was just kind of awkward because this guy just said he's not going to play for you, so he's driving you back. And he dropped me off at my dorm, and I said, "BT, do you think I'm going to make a mistake with this, not coming back?" And he said, "I never had a bad time with these guys on this team. It's a great bunch of guys, and you'll learn a lot." And so right as I got out of the car, I turned back and said, "Hey, I'll meet you back on Thursday." And I just kept coming back, and I started running in the morning to get better shape, 1 mile every day. I kept improving very slowly. I was probably the worst at the time, but I just kept going. And since then, I just haven't thought about ever quitting.
2 questions for you. When you said you were scared of this girl, is that the impression rugby players give to you? And did you play any sports prior to rugby at all?
Rugby people are definitely scared when you first meet them until you actually get to understand them. Frankly, my team's a bunch of kind of nerds. When I first met our 8-man Drago, just bearded guy, just always kind of wants to get in a fight almost. And then we started talking about Pokemon, and one day he actually invited me over to play Magic the Gathering. And I'm like, this isn't as scary as I thought it was. But Kayla, the girl that got me into rugby, she's the nicest person in the world. I couldn't ask for a better friend. And for considering sports I played before this, I played 7th, 8th grade football. Wasn't really any good at that. I didn't go back into high school with it. And then I also wrestled for 2 years, but I got hurt each season. I'm like, this is not fun anymore. I keep getting hurt. I swam in high school, and that's about as much athleticism as I had.
What's your favorite thing about the game, and what is your least favorite thing about the game?
My favorite thing about the game is that there's a strong connection between everybody on the pitch. And not even just our own pitch, but every single pitch in the entire world. Rugby is an international sport. Unlike football, where you know everybody on the team. If you go to say Germany or something, they'll have a rugby team there. You'll find another family, and they'll treat you just the same. There's always a spot on the pitch for anybody of any kind of size, and it's just a great feeling knowing that, hey, I have a place, I belong. My least favorite part would probably be some of the stereotypes. Everybody, when I tell people I play rugby, everyone's like, "Oh, you're an alcoholic, huh?" And I'm just like, well, no, not exactly. I mean, we like to have a good time, but I put a lot of hard work and dedication into my workouts and my morals. And even on the pitch, I know some guys enjoy playing dirty. That's not me at all. I just want to play a clean game, and I don't want to see anybody hurt. But if they decide to hurt one of my teammates, they better see someone else coming.
Yeah, it's definitely a rugby thing to back everybody up. We even have a guy from Germany, and just like what Chan was saying, how it doesn't matter where you're from, we really are. We really do stick together and everything like that.
Yeah, we even got a guy from Fond du Lac.
All the way
So
from
far
Fond du
away,
Lac.
man. Just 20 miles south, just who are those people down there? They're weird.
But definitely, there was 2 points where I knew I belonged on the pitch with my teammates. One was my sophomore year of college. There was a point where I just ran out of motivation. Like I couldn't get myself up to go to class or just like go and work out or anything. Like I just kind of started slowing down. I wasn't improving anymore. I just sat there and actually made like a long Facebook post, which I know some of my friends read and some didn't. But at one point in the night, it was like 10 o'clock. I got a message from my coach, and he just said, "Hey, Tron, it's gonna be okay. You just gotta change a few things, maybe like fix your routine, work out." I was hurt at the time, so it's like, "Hey, just take a little breather. Like, just don't push yourself too hard. Come back. We got you right now. You got the goods. You can make it here." And then the second time where I knew I belonged on this team was actually with the passing of one of our teammates lately. Taylor Made was 22 and he passed away a few weeks ago. And he was one of the best people I ever knew. And every time I play now, I write his name on my arm just because he made such an impact on my life. And it's not only my life that he made an impact on, but everybody he played with. When he passed away, every rugger in Wisconsin knew it. We all passed along messages, and everybody had their own stories with it. Just having that's the kind of connection that I mean when I talk about my favorite part of rugby. Everybody is here for you, no matter what. You might fight on the pitch, or like fight off the pitch, but on that pitch, you are here, you are family, and we're together through thick and thin.
Yeah, it's powerful just how much teammates can connect to you, and that goes kind of everywhere, like you said, not just your team, not just a team in your area, because we've got all those teams in the area, Fond du Lac, Appleton, Green Bay. But if you're at a sevens tournament in the middle of the summer, you're walking around and you can go up to pretty much any team and talk to them, and they'll talk back. And, you might not be great friends with all of them, but you make a lot of good friendships just from going around and talking to the new teams that show up at these tournaments. That's how I've got friends from Appleton. It's how I've got friends from Green Bay. They're all from rugby, and I like to think that it's because of the demeanor and not that I just like to get blackout drunk and everyone laugh at me all the time. But
Yeah, definitely the teammate thing. You don't really want to go out every Tuesday and Thursday to hit every practice, but it's more of hanging out with the teammates and goofing around, and then here and there you'll do your tackle drill and just hang out and have fun. That's what it is. That's what it's all about.
Fighting for each other on that pitch definitely strengthens those bonds, because as a newer player to the Pigs, I only played with Team Aid for 1 year, and I was injured for most of that year. And so I'd only really played a handful of games, but I mean, I knew him from the socials. And like you said, it's just a really good-hearted individual. It's sad to see him pass away at a young age, but I think something that we can do as an action to back up our claim that we do care about our teammates and our coaches and friends more than maybe anybody else, but just the fact that a lot of us are trying to keep his memory going, and we will continue to do that probably for the rest of our lives until I get dementia.
Or too many concussions where your brain is just mush.
That is probably more likely.
Everybody's about halfway there.
All right, Tron, and the big question of the night is, why does everybody call you Tron?
Yeah, we've been calling him Tron, haven't explained it yet.
It's a really stupid reason. Back in like elementary school and then middle school, all my teachers were either calling me Tran or Tron, and I didn't exactly know which one it was. So I just kind of said, "Oh yeah, it's Jordan Tran for this class, and Jordan Tron for that class." Then in high school, like apparently there's like a little fight in the teacher's lounge about which it was, and I finally just told him, "I don't know." When I finally asked my dad, it is Tran, but by that time everyone started calling me like Megatron on my swim team. So I'm just like, it is Tron. So that's how I got the nickname Tron, and no one decided to give me a rugby name, so that's where we're at with that.
So you just brought her in, huh? And
Yep.
hey, it sticks.
It's sticking around, yeah.
Eventually, that's probably how it's going to be. Nobody's original enough for nicknames anymore. Like, Me, Myler. That's just my fake name.
We call you the
The
Mullet.
Mulleteer. I guess I have a character profile that I need to fill out on this podcast now. So
All right, Sean. Thanks for your time, and we'll be seeing you at practice.
Yep. See you then, guys.
I think it's about time for us to bring in someone from the Oshkosh women's rugby team, right? Sure.
That sounds right.
All right. We got Mariah here from women's rugby. And how are you doing today, Mariah?
Doing pretty good. Just came out from a tournament this weekend. We
Nice.
played 2 different tournaments, and they went pretty well.
All right. Can you tell us a bit about them? I saw that one of them was a second place.
Yeah, so we did one on Saturday in Whitewater. That one we took second place. We were playing a 15s game. And then on Sunday, we took fourth place playing 7s.
Which one do you prefer, 7s or 15s?
10s.
10s.
No, I guess
Tens is a good in the middle ground.
Yeah.
Sevens is too much running.
Sevens, yeah, nobody wants to run that much. Like even people that run.
Yeah, no, I'm too much of a forward to enjoy 7s fully. So I guess tournament style 15s would be my go-to.
All right. Well, how did you first hear about rugby, and when did you start playing?
I don't remember when I first heard about rugby. I know my dad played, my brother plays, my sister plays, pretty much everybody plays. And so I've grown up with it. And I first started playing in high school my sophomore year.
Where did you play in high school?
I played for the Nightmares. They're out of Dousman area.
Okay.
So what's your favorite and least favorite things about the game, though? Because we've heard quite a few answers on both sides that are pretty different from our other.
My least favorite is probably just running in general. I'm not a big fan of running, which is funny because that's a lot of what rugby is. And my favorite is maybe not the sport itself, but just the friends that I have from rugby. Because I know like the friendships that I've formed will last me my life.
Sounds like a common thing between us as well, too.
Yeah, the connections between just any rugby player, if you're at a tournament and you're talking to other rugby players, there just seems to be kind of like an unspoken bond
Right.
between everybody, and it's like our friend Nicholas Kusky said, it's just great to be a part of that.
Yeah, no, it's a family, and added some new people on Snapchat, and I didn't know them before this weekend, and now we're best buds, so that's cool.
All right. When people ask you about rugby, what do they think of you? And because you are from a rugby family, you might have a skewed opinion about this, but when you first started playing rugby, what was your opinion on it?
Okay, well, so if there's any stereotypes, that's the first question, correct?
Right.
All right. Yeah, I definitely think, especially being a female playing rugby, I feel like everybody assumes that I'm a 300-pound gay woman, and I'm not 300 pounds. I'm definitely not 100, but and just because I'm straight and I play rugby, it doesn't matter what my sexual orientation is. It's the fact that I'm here to have a good time with all my friends, and we're going to battle it out. And I play because I love the sport, and I love how it's so elegant but brutal at the same time.
Well, what is your favorite movie, Mariah?
Ooh,
And why?
Oh, no, that's terrible. That's a terrible question. I've seen a lot of movies, so I guess I really like movies that can make me cry because I like feeling vulnerable. So I guess the movie Gladiator is one that never fails to make me cry at the end. Sorry, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, although it came out a while ago. So.
That's why no one will remember your name.
Yeah, so no, I guess Gladiator would be one of my go-to movies.
As far as making people feel vulnerable, I don't think that makes me feel vulnerable at all.
Not at the end?
Mel Gibson, just beasting it through the whole movie. It kind of builds you up, and then kind of it is totally Russell Crowe.
Yeah. Thinking Braveheart.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that is going to be all the time we have with Mariah for the night.
let's introduce our next three guests. Next up, we will have Bill, Caveman, and Beth as well from the women's rugby team. I was only able to spectate, but Bill, let's go over the first half. What did you see? What did you like? What you didn't like? And what the other team did to us?
All right. Well, I think it was pretty clear when we showed up that we probably weren't going to do that great in the game since we showed up with 13 pack players, B-side players, and only 2 backs, one of which is extremely out of shape. You can pretty much consider him a prop by all means because the kid can't run for more than 5 minutes without throwing up on the field.
Fair enough.
So proud of him for that one. But the first half, I'm not going to lie, it kind of went how I expected. They took advantage of our prop wings because we had 2 of our B-side props out there on the wing, and they were going against just little quick guys who are used to playing at that position, so they got burned a lot. But we got burned on the outside a decent amount, but in that first half, I think we did a pretty good job of, at least stopping their fast guys to an extent and being able to score a couple tries just to kind of boost our morale and keep us in the game.
Yeah, they definitely attacked with their back line quite a bit. What did you like about the first half? Anything to bring into the second half at all?
First half, I think that we played better fundamental rugby than they did. I think that's something that happened throughout the entire game. They obviously had the skills and the speed, in the back line. They had those experienced guys who were able to make some line breaks and, create plays with their feet and kick the ball really well. But we as an entire team did a pretty good job of staying spread and getting to all of our rucks and out-rucking them the entire game.
All right, for halftime, what did we talk about during the halftime huddle? How were we going to make adjustments?
Halftime, we really focused on, playing smart rugby because the Sir was one of their old boys. And he also, all he's ever played is dirty and old boy rugby. So we were like, all right, listen, this game's going to be a little dirty. We're going to be able to do some stuff that we couldn't normally do if we had a real Sir. So we talked about just keeping it fundamental, making sure that we actually spread that ball across the field and took advantages of overloads because we had them all game, despite the fact that we had a bunch of fat boys running around out there.
Yeah, our fat boys actually did pretty good pounding up the middle. And that Sir, he was he even yelled at us on the sideline, so that was quite an adventure.
But he is a sweetheart, and he has a lot of puggles. He's got
That's
like
right.
4 of them, so that's a plus.
All right, so second half, what did we do well? What did we struggle with? And how did it go overall?
Second half, I think that we improved quite a bit. I could tell that our style of play and our ability to spread the ball and using pods worked pretty well for us. Things that we did poorly, we definitely got gassed. I got gassed. I saw plenty of other guys with their hands on their knees. At one point, our fullback, who was one of our 2 backs, he literally just stood on the corner, like on the sideline of the field, and watched a guy run and score a try. And so I was like, all right, well, that's cool. That's great. And at 12, I was like, well, looks like I'm second fullback now because he would just stand there and do nothing.
Oh, it's
So, yeah.
understandable with no subs, though.
I guess to an extent, but you're a rugby player. You should be able to
Right,
play
right.
a full 80, regardless of what position you play on the field. Or at least, be able to get in position for a full 80 minutes.
Right, yeah, I saw that the team really struggled with possession. We knocked it on. We didn't cash in on our opportunities, but when we did have the ball, we moved the ball pretty effectively when we hung on to it. So I'd say we take that into the next game pretty well.
Oh, definitely.
So, Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Bill Blake. I play for the Oshkosh Mighty Pigs. I've been the captain of the team for, say, about 3 years now. I joined the team when I came to college. I didn't even know that there was a team that existed. I actually only heard about the team because I was at family Christmas with my ex-girlfriend, and one of her cousins played on the team, and he was like, hey, do you want to play rugby this spring? And I was like, sure. I guess. Sure.
Sure.
I don't get that often.
And so
Find that hard to believe.
I just graduated from college. I'm still in Oshkosh, still playing for the Pigs. I don't really plan to go anywhere for a while, so I'll probably be with the team for an extended period of time. That's about it, though, about me.
Interesting. I didn't know that about you, Bill.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Well, that's about all the time we have for you today, Bill. Well, at least for now. It's time to move on to our next guest. Who do we have here?
Thanks for having me on Ruckin the Mullet. Super pumped to be here.
Of course, of course.
We're glad to have you on here.
Thanks. So, a little bit about me. I've been playing rugby for 6 years now, 2 here at Oshkosh, and then 4 back in high school. So, it's been a wild ride.
Where did you play in high school?
I went to Divine Savior Holy Angels, and I was fly half for 4 years. So,
Okay, cool. I don't know where that is, but cool. 4 years.
in Milwaukee.
That's quite a bit.
Wow, where is that? That was a joke. That was supposed to be a joke, but we were literally just talking about Milwaukee.
Yesterday. or the other day.
The black and blue is from Milwaukee. Okay.
That
And
brings
who else do we have sitting over here?
Caveman. Or so they call
Caveman.
me.
Caveman. Why do they call you
Why do
Caveman?
they call me Caveman? Well, I used to have some amazing Fabio hair. It flowed.
Where did his hair go?
Did it flow
Where did it
like
go?
a Ruckin mullet?
Well, in high school you can grow anything you want, right?
Oh, that's-
So you
I
can
don't know,
you can
man.
have yourself a nice flowing. But then you start to think maybe I should look like
Maybe
an
I
adult.
should start a podcast about Ruckin mullets.
Right, exactly. I'm thinking about bringing
You
it
know,
back.
if you grow it back, maybe I'll let you replace Sure over here.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna grow a mullet too.
Well, then
Kidding, I don't know, dude.
we're
yeah.
gonna make so much money.
That's straight 80s. That's awesome.
I don't think anybody could top a caveman's hair ever.
But so I had some nice flowing hair, but the Amish beard was a bad choice. So
The bad choice.
yeah, you think you growing a beard in high school, that'd be cool, but
Yeah, I mean,
when
I
it
know
only
I'm
grows-
clean shaven right now. To be honest, I should be growing
I know what's going on
a
there.
beard, but
Clean shaven. That's clean shaven, huh?
it's pretty.
Well, I mean, for a
It's
mullet,
pretty
for a
clean
mullet,
shaven.
man, that is clean shaven, right?
It's pretty clean shaven. It's clean shaven like 4 days ago. No, probably like 2 days ago. I can't remember. That real Ruckin mullets don't remember when they
Yeah,
shave.
it was within a week, right?
Maybe.
That's
I don't
what
know.
counts.
Probably.
All right, caveman.
Could be.
How did you get into rugby?
How did I get into rugby? Oh, well, physics class. My good friend Phil said, "Hey, you want to play rugby?" And I said, "Okay, I don't know what that is." So I played rugby.
We're about to bring in our intern, Mr. Kusky, and I hear that you have a pretty interesting story about him.
Yeah,
Please tell us.
I do. It was actually the first time that I met him. He had contacted our team, and I invited him out to a team meeting before the spring season because that's typically what you do. Figured he could kind of get a grasp of what the team was like, what we are going to be doing during the season. And so after the meeting, he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I have a great fundraising idea." And I was like, "Okay, let's hear it." And he goes, "Okay, so what I want to do is I'll do boxing matches around the area." And I was like, I didn't know there were just like boxing matches around the area. He's like, "I'll do boxing matches around the area, and then I'm gonna give all the proceeds to the team." And I was like, I don't exactly know what that means, but okay. I was like, are you a boxer? Have you boxed before? Did you take boxing classes? And he goes, "No, I've never boxed before, but I've been in a lot of fights." And I was like, I don't think you can just go out and like box people for money and, get paid for it. But I was like, this is ridiculous. And at that time, one of the vets on our team came up to him who had done some boxing in his past. And he starts asking him all these questions and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, like what kind of body fat percentage are you?" And he was even like, "Hey, I don't want to be weird, but can you lift up your shirt for me real quick?" And I was like, what's happening? Like, where did this conversation go and what's happening in my life? And so he lifts up his shirt, the intern did, Mr. Kusky, lifts up his shirt and this guy starts pinching his stomach fat. And he's like, what like body fat percentage are you? Are you like 6 or like 8%? Like kind of feel like 10 maybe. And I'm like, what's happening? And then the intern goes ahead and he says something about high school. And I was like, hold up. are you in high school? He was like, well, yeah, I'm in high school. And like my mind was just blown because I had a high school kid come up to me and tell me he was going to go box people and give the money to the team. And I just met him for the first time. And then I've got an older guy just like pinching his stomach fat. And I'm like, I don't even know if this is like appropriate or if it's not. Like, I know he didn't know that he wasn't. And I'm like, all right, listen, man, like you're going to play for the high school team because you're in high school. Like, let's just start there. And that was like my first interaction with him. And that's when I knew we had a real special guy on the team.
Wow.
Speechless.
I think maybe I have the only story that involves me. I had heard about rugby and I had known that somebody was talking about it, and I was just in the gym locker room, a scared little freshman at Fondy High, you know, the weird people in Fond du Lac. And so you can understand my timidness. But I went up to him and I was just like, excuse me, do you play rugby? Like, I probably didn't sound like that, but
You're lying.
maybe I did. My voice probably cracked a little bit more than that, but either way, it started playing after that in 4 years of high school, and I'm going on 6 years out of high school, so 10 years now playing rugby for me.
That's a legit vet right there. 10 years.
I've been growing the mullet that long too.
It took you
As
10
long
years?
as we don't have video, people don't know what I look like yet, so
The best part about
social.
rugby is the interesting people you're going to meet. One of them might actually have a mullet. One of them might have a wave on his head.
I got bad head. Leave me alone.
Another one just
That's all right. It's the radio. No one can see it.
he just wants to box for fun, so I mean, you know.
It's for
You get crazy.
charity. It's totally different.
I guess that kind of brings us up to our next point. What's the most interesting story that you have from rugby?
good.
Now that we have that interesting story, we're gonna move on to what Beth's the most interesting story is.
Oh shit.
I feel like she's got a bunch.
Beth, you gotta have something.
You have to tell us two.
What?
I gotta figure out how to keep the police out of it.
Yeah.
Oh no, the cops are good. It's just no
No blood.
Just no blood.
yeah, no
Can
blood.
there be nudity?
You just can't describe it too. You just can't describe it
Okay.
too aesthetically.
Okay. Well, at my first college rugby party, everyone's drinking, having a good time, and then all of a sudden I look over, and there's just naked guys, butt naked guys, like doing push-ups, and I'm really like, what the heck? Like, is this normal? And apparently that's a thing that they do often. So that was one thing I just wasn't really ready for.
Ruckin the mullet.
There'd be like 20 of them.
All right. Well, no, you have your next story.
Next story. That was a good
Can
story.
I come
That
back
was-
to mine?
That would,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
You get a time to think
I'll
about
hand
it.
it off to Caveman.
But if it's worse than that one,
Ow.
we're gonna kick you off the show.
Kusky isn't our first crazy man.
Yo, Beth, what's the craziest thing that you've ever done in a game?
In a game?
And then after it.
Of course, after
Well,
too.
during the game, I guess it wasn't on purpose necessarily, but this girl, I swear to God, she was almost paralyzed. So I tackled her and then kind of like rolled her, and so her neck was not in the best position, and then she couldn't move. So I started crying because I felt really bad, and then the trainers and everything had to come on the field, and it was like a 15 to 20 minute delay while they checked her out. So
You should work
So
for
you
you.
her up, huh?
yeah, basically.
I don't want to get hit by you now. I don't think I was in danger, but now I'm gonna make sure.
What's the
Ruckin-
craziest thing you've
Ruckin
ever
the mullet.
done? We want to hear
Oh,
about you now.
I have to actually think about that. So
I got
Cave,
one.
you can go.
Yeah, I got one. I got one.
Okay.
Cave's
Oh
got it.
man, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to share this with my mother when we're done. I'm gonna have to unlike your page, hide it from her. All right, wow. So here's what's up. Mudfest. I don't know, what was it, 2013? Who knows? I an old boy from well, I think he's an old boy from Platteville, but he plays with us when we go down there sometimes. Anyway, he had this clown wig, and he gave it to me. I don't remember why he gave it to me, But I wore that thing all night long, from, I don't know, 6 o'clock at night till 3 a.m. And I was informed that around 2:30, 3 a.m., other people are trying to sleep. I was just sitting in a chair, staring blankly at them as they tried to go to bed in the dark, dark room. Is that crazy enough for you?
That's definitely creepy enough.
I mean,
No offense. But I mean, they'd probably think the same thing if I was sitting in a chair looking at him. Like, why is this guy with a mullet just sitting down
sometimes you
looking
just
at
go
us
quiet, you know?
in the dark? And I can hear him breathing. Okay, well, I think that was a good story, Kay. I'm going to kind of move on to mine. You kind of jogged my memory with the Mudfest. And so
Mudfest is a hell of a place.
I've got a story. I can't remember which year it was. I think it was the year before I moved here. So it must have been 2013 or 2014 Mudfest. And I'm a big fan of jean shorts. We'll start it off with them. I'm a big fan of jean shorts, and I was rocking some jean shorts out to the Platteville bars, and I was standing outside because somebody that I was with, I can't remember, was smoking a cigarette, and this girl and her friend come out, and they were gonna smoke cigarettes, and she asked me, "Can I fray your jorts?" And I'm thinking, like, you know, fray the bottoms, like make it like kind of frilly, because I had just cut them with some scissors, you know, like.
It's not an innuendo of any kind?
Yeah, just not really. But she was, no, it definitely wasn't, because she pulled out a box cutter, like a legit box cutter with like the whole handle and everything, and started to vertically cut my jeans up around the entire side so you could pull up a flap, and it was kind of like a Spartan skirt, kind of, you know, where you could each individual flap. And so basically at that point I was just commando. And I remember bumping into Box at one of the dance clubs and making fun of him and leaving, and I tried to get some jambalaya from the street urchin that was out front. I don't know why I was saying street urchin, but I just came over me and I was just like, "I gotta get jambalaya from the street urchins." Oh yeah, I did. I got like 2 or 3 big old bowls. All right, so thanks for stopping in too, Ruckin the Mullet guys. You guys are all special in your own ways, and I love all of you guys. But right now, hypothetically, we are in the 10th round of an 11-round or 10-round fight, and the final boss needs to come out. And so you guys are going to leave, and we are going to bring in our intern, Nick Kuski. Here he is. As custom, he is going to start with a Facebook Live post of his stuff, and here he goes.
What is up? Not only am I live here at UWO, but I'm live on Facebook, so tune in and check this shit out, because it's gonna have a good old time.
All right. Like you just heard from Nick Kuski, he's our guest. So he's one of our younger players on the Oshkosh team, and we brought him into the studio to find out kind of what he started playing and what the reason is that he wanted rugby over different sports. So without any further ado, here's Nick Kuski.
Thank you for having me. Part of the reason why I joined rugby was because I was tired of high school. I was tired of the mentality of, hey, every man for himself, you know, like who's the top dog and all that. I finally just had enough. And I joined rugby because I was just one of those things where I thought I could do this. How hard could it be?
Plus the toughness of the sport too, definitely a little bit different than everything, a little bit more close of a team sport. Like you said, track is an individual sport for each kind of thing, but everybody competes as a team. But when each person has their own individual kind of the same thing with rugby team, you know, like we got our backs and our forwards, but unless everybody's on the same page and playing for each other, one guy is typically not going to make that big of a difference in a game.
Right.
If you have to play with your team and know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so kind of going off of that, like how does rugby relate to the other sports you've played? You said you'd play track.
I was in track from my freshman to my sophomore year, and then I played 8th grade football, did a bit of flyers, and football wasn't doing it for me. We didn't work as a unit. We didn't work as a team. And those were the only 2 sports. Did a bit of soccer, but I hated soccer. I wasn't very good at it. But it was just, I was tired of the individualism, and I wanted, like I said, to be a part of something again. And my dad and my uncle played rugby. So that's why, part of the reason why I wanted to play rugby was because of them. And they got me interested in the sport. So I have to thank them.
So, I mean, like you said, how did they really get you to start playing, though?
Every time I would go up north, it was a series of, that's all they would talk about. They would talk about the woods, guns. It was just, and sometimes the conversation would go to rugby and the old boys and how they would play. And I just was always fascinated with, what is it about this sport that got these 2 guys to play? And my dad told the story of when he was playing college ball, broke his ankle, and he's standing by the side of the field, and you see these guys throwing around this goofy looking ball, and the captain walked over to my dad and said, asked him a couple questions, and he said, when your ankle's healed up, come play. And that's that. And that's how they both started. I wanted to play from myself, and I wanted to experience that feeling. You have to understand this. If you're going to play rugby, you're not alone, and you have to be willing to be a part of a group. And I think that's what I longed for, and I'm grateful to be a part of now.
You're not just a lone wolf anymore, but you found your wolf pack, hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically, yes, I did.
Even though the wolf pack is the Fond du Lac rugby team, not the pigs. You found your pig pen, huh?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, because I think it does make sense, because if you're playing for another team and you don't know anybody, you're not going to know how they operate their scheme, like what the plays are. And so you have to really pay attention. And at the same time, that team really has to be on top of their game, communicating with you to make sure that you are in the best position, because you're not going to learn all their guys' names or all of what they're doing during the game, but you can pick up on things that you can still be effective when you're playing for a different team. And so that kind of brings us into the next thing I was going to talk about is, how long do you think you're going to continue to play? You know, how many other teams are you going to get to throw on their jersey? Because I've definitely been able to play for quite a few teams. I've played for Fond du Lac, Oshkosh, Appleton, Green Bay, Milwaukee. I've thrown jerseys on for.
Really?
Just for spring break, I went down to Atlanta and I practiced with their D2 team, the Renegades. Give them a shout out. Those guys are all pretty cool, you know.
Awesome, man.
So, I mean, it's like, and that kind of brings us back. I know I asked you a question. I'm going to go back to what we were talking about a little bit before, just like the approachability of rugby players. Like, if you don't know the sport, you might think, oh, they look kind of scary. You know what? Even we think that a lot. But it's funny because otherwise, like, I've been playing rugby this is my 10th year, and all I did was throw a Facebook message to this rugby club in Atlanta, and they were more than happy to invite me down to practice, to run with them. Whereas a lot of times I feel like if you are kind of out of place and just ask a team to practice, or kind of like shut you away, like I feel especially with football, like they do have like really strict combines for that and stuff, but the social aspect of rugby is kind of what makes it so appealing to me. So how long do you think you're going to continue to play with that?
Oh boy, that's a very interesting and hard question. I would like to play for as long as I can. I am in my 20s, so this is my prime. This is where I learn the most. And there are guys, the old boys, they've been playing for more than longer, that I can easily either surpass them or play up to their level, which is my hope. Now, I hope to, like you said, throw on other teams' jerseys and at least practice with them. And going off of what you said, the approachability of rugby players, what I find is rugby players, firefighters, and cops are very social people. Rugby players, all you have to do is find them throwing around this goofy ball out in the middle of a pitch somewhere, and you just ask one of them when the practice is over or the game's over, how, like, what is it like? Like, how is it? What is it? How do you play? And we would be more than willing to try and explain it to you. But you're not going to fully understand it unless you throw on a pair of boots and scrummies and step out onto the pitch with us. And that is where I liked it, because they didn't exclude anyone. The problem with football I found was I was a bench warmer. I wasn't the golden boy at all. I was a linebacker, and even still it was just I was a bench warmer linebacker. And I get to play a couple times, but nothing that amounted to a damn thing. Which I thought, okay, well, to hell with this, I'll just play rugby where they accept me and they let me play. That's all I wanted to do, was just play. And rugby gives people the opportunity to play, which is why I think people find it more interesting and more, I want to say, open-minded and more, I'm trying to think of the word here, I'm sorry, friendly than football.
Yeah. I guess that definitely makes sense. Well, that's got to be one of your favorite parts about the game then. What are some of your other favorite parts about the game?
Some of the favorite parts are the parties. I mean, we not only do we practice and we play hard and we travel as a team, but we party as a team. And that just furthers on the more social aspect of the brotherhood that we all have. And it was just, I love it because we give each other a lot of crap, but you know something's, if they pick on you and they torch you a lot, they like you a lot. That's how I base that off of, which is cool because, I learned a lot and I still am learning from a lot of these guys and from you as well, which is very cool. And thank you for that.
Yeah, and as a veteran, I like to help younger players, and now I'm trying to think about expanding that into what you're on this first podcast of Ruckin the Mullet with the mulleteer himself. It's that's what we're gonna be trying to do, is have some recordings, have some people from the rugby community on the air, so that they can share this with maybe somebody who doesn't know so much about rugby and would like to. Maybe they have seen the practices and want to go up but are intimidated for whatever reason. And so if they hear us kind of talking about the social aspect of the sport and just like a calm demeanor, the teamwork involved in the sport, I think even if you were timid before, like it'll kind of raise your confidence, say like, all right, even I can go out and at least check it out. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not the sport for you, but it is the number one fastest growing sport in the United States right now. And that is definitely for a reason. And there's going to be people doing this very same thing, people that already are doing this very same thing in terms of rugby podcasts around the world. And so trying to bring one up that kind of focuses on local Wisconsin, Oshkosh, Fond du Lac, Fox Valley, Appleton kind of deal, teams around the state even. I feel like it makes it a lot more relatable. And if somebody thinks like, oh, like all these cities have rugby teams now, like I wonder what that's like, bringing it back to how you
Right,
got started. And so if we got a sweet podcast that everybody wants to get on and it's sweet because it's Ruckin the Mullet, I think that could be a very good thing for the sport.
If I may, to all my Facebook friends and followers, I would love, this is the man who, right there, Mr. Mullet himself.
Mullet's here.
Mullet's here.
Is here.
This guy, I would like to do this more often. And I think the Mullet himself, Mullet's here, would like to do this more. So here's what I would like for all of you to do. Follow this man on Twitter. Follow myself on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at the Oshkosh Rugby's Twitter page and the Fond du Lac's Twitter page.
I'm not on Fondy anymore. I'm still living up here.
All right, my bad.
We do have a Ruckin the Mullet Twitter, and we do have a Ruckin the Mullet Facebook page that everybody can certainly go like. It's got a pretty sweet logo that I designed myself. It's actually a picture of my mullet that has been digitally altered to look like a cartoon, and it's placed on a rugby ball so it looks like a head.
That's cool, man. That's very cool. So you heard that there. Rockin' the Mullet. Follow us.
Ruckin the Mullet.
Ruckin the
Ruckin
Mullet.
the
Ruckin the Mullet.
It's a play on words.
It is. I like that, actually. I will myself obviously subscribe and support and follow everybody on the social media web. Do the same. Help this guy out. Help us out. It'll be fantastic, and I guarantee you all will have a great time. So yeah, thank you to the Facebook community.
That'll just about do it for the time that Nick has on the show. Thanks for stopping by, Nick.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yep,
This is
and
awesome.
we will look forward to seeing you back on the show.
Thank you for having me, man, and I will be back.
Well, thank you for that, Nick. That brings us, that's all the time we got at the end of our show. So we're going to thank all of our guests here on Ruckin the Mullet tonight. That is Bill, Tron, Beth, Caveman, Kusky, and Mariah, who showed up to support our cause. I'm Myler, the Mulleteer.
I'm sure.
And this is Ruckin the Mullet. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Follow the handles Ruckin the Mullet.